got it. Okay.
I'm Josh Land. Welcome to the Traffic and Transportation Committee meeting, Thursday, November 21st, 7 p.m. There are some people on remote, and so we'll just go through the agenda, introduction, and committee members. So let's take attendance.
Yeah.
Here. Sylvia Alexander, is she online?
She's gonna join on Zoom, but she's not here yet.
Debbie Allen?
Present.
Great, thanks. Kelly, you're here. Dr. Wayne DeBeatham, online. Oh, thank you, Wayne, doctor. Margaret, she comes later usually. Ingrid.
Yes.
And Mary Ellen.
Yeah, present.
Great. Except for Sylvia. All right.
And the last one. Hard to believe a G would be the end of the list, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Really?
No, it's after because they don't have, we have quorum, EC.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's absent.
So
Six of the 9 members are present, we have quorum.
thanks. We'd like to approve the committee minutes from September. Great. Approved. And the report.
So you have to ask if any abstentions or...
Oh, right. Anyone online?
There's nobody there who has permission to be on there.
No.
Okay.
We have to ask the committee if anyone is abstaining. That's what she said.
Oh.
Abstains?
Opposing.
Now, so those have been approved. Now, if we could go to the second item, approval of committee minutes, third, chairperson report. I don't have anything to report other than the DDC will be hopefully speaking.
He's here.
Number 4, dining out NYC sidewalk application in Marin.
She said she would be coming, but...
She'll be coming later. So hopefully, the application is for them to dine out. Did anyone get a chance to review it? Outdoor dining application?
Question?
Yes, I would like to defer, voting on the matter, reviewing the matter until the.
Perfect. Okay, we'll defer it. All right. Now the number.
I'm going to be asking. Do you see all the garbage cans lined up on the sidewalk?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean they're there all the time, or?
I think they have to put them out there.
There's nothing in them. They're empty.
So why aren't they put back is a question?
That's my guess. I mean, the sidewalk that's left is small enough, so I'm wondering, do you see the picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
A homeowner could leave it out.
If you was a homeowner, you wouldn't be able to leave it out like
Well,
that.
half the sidewalk is going to be cafe, the rest of the sidewalk should be, you have to get into your car, you can park.
Dining out, or is that part of garbage?
Please look at there's no garbage. They're empty.
But I just think that's part of doing business as a restaurant, not part of a dining out application.
It's upside down. You wanna go down, it's upside down.
That's why it's important to have the application.
Yeah, because clearly it's upside down.
I was gonna say that, but I got the ice in my mouth.
What are the 3 questions that,
You have to wait until they come on so we can ask them.
we can do,
Where to stop traffic?
I don't want to debate the issue, I'm just saying, does anybody, you see this? This will be one of my questions, that's all, I don't want to.
Fair.
Go into it now, but I will be. And then you go down another page, and all of the tables. Wondering furniture on their property.
We'll ask.
Yeah, that's,
All right, so we'll wait until they show up, if they show up.
That's a Tim Murray, right?
Marie.
Great. Now, the DDC, Department of Design and Construction, phase and timeline updates for sidewalk safety plan on West 254th Street. Maria?
were we able to get notice out to people?
How?
Whose mouth and to whom?
Well, the agenda's
At the
posted
last
on.
meeting on, last Tuesday, at the board meeting, I mentioned it. DDC was,
That's not-
On Facebook, the agenda's on Facebook, and it's on, okay, I can talk though, I can still
Okay.
speak.
Yeah, well, yes, no, I understand your
But
answer.
that's kind of,
Maria?
What does it say?
Maria, can you hear us?
Where's the thing?
Hi, Maria.
can't
You
hear you,
sound very
Maria.
low. You sound very low, Maria.
I know why. I'm so sorry. Okay, how about now? How about now?
Perfect.
Oh,
Perfect.
sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. My hair looks terrible, and I don't have it here.
It can hear you.
We can hear you, Sylvia. Yeah, I'm here. Welcome.
Does it go in here?
Yeah, we'll put,
On
yeah, she
Zoom
has
or I don't know.
ADA. She's on Zoom.
For educational
Are
purposes.
you ready for me?
So, Wayne cannot vote,
Correct.
But he can speak.
but he can speak.
Are we gonna show the presentation now, Maria?
Yeah, I can bring it up. Hold on one second. Let me just,
Oh, you can, okay.
I think I
I
can.
have it if you need me to.
If you, let's see, yes, I have it up here. Okay, so let me share my screen. I'm sending a request, so that I can share my screen.
So loud?
Can you have to do something?
There we go.
I sent a request to share my screen.
Yes, so
Okay,
Gave it
good.
to
It's
you.
working. It's working. I got it. Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet, not yet.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, great. So before I start, I'd like to just acknowledge we have a community construction liaison who's here tonight. I think he just wanted to say hello and identify himself. He's doing sidewalks all over the Bronx, as well as a water main project in 3 other locations in the Bronx. Julio, would you like to say hello and just introduce yourself very quickly? Is that possible?
Yes, of course it is. Excuse me for the visual, and Maria, thank you for introducing me. So I am the community construction liaison for project HWS 2023X. This is a current sidewalk construction work on Van Cortlandt Park South between Dickinson Avenue and Saxon Avenue. So the update on that project is that it's been mobilized for the past 2-3 weeks. They currently poured sidewalk recently yesterday. So they're moving very swiftly and deliberately, and I've pretty much done a good amount of work in notifying the board and
Amalgamated.
Amalgamated Housing Corporation, which is right there and impacted by the work, and also St. Patrick's Home. So they are aware of the work. Any further questions on that, in liberty to give you an answer to.
Right, and if you want, why don't you type in your name and your contact information in case they have any questions they can contact you with regards to the sidewalk projects. Yeah.
Definitely. So yes, my email will be put in on the chat.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we don't have the chat here, I'm sorry, but I do
Oh,
have
you
your
do
information,
not.
Julio.
Oh, you do have the information.
No.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Oh,
Wonderful.
I mean, Julio, you email me, I think. This is
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely. Hi.
How are you?
Good, good.
Since we
Okay.
don't have a map, could we have a description just one more time? I'm not familiar with the names of the streets, or what is it?
This is on Van Cortlandt Park South between Dickinson Avenue and Saxon Avenue. So between those two streets, the sidewalk has been filled, and a curb, and they're now doing excavation work between Saxon Avenue and Hillman Avenue. So I show up to the site every other day, and I do the flow of traffic is still moving. There are flaggers present. That is you know, kind of getting the traffic moving along. So I don't see a lot of traffic buildup because of the actual construction work. Again, it is on the sidewalk, so it's not on the roadway. So it's not impeding any type of traffic. The only thing it's impacting is parking spots, but that's when I made the effort with Amalgamated and letting them know so that they can deploy the notices to everyone who lives in that housing development. Also, St. Patrick's Home is aware of the work. They've actually been very accommodating in allowing some of the workers to come in to use a restroom, and you know, just being an understanding of the type of work and the machinery that can mobilize down that street. So again, it's between Dickinson, Saxon, and Hillman Avenue currently.
And St. Patrick's is near, like, towards like Gun Hill, where you go to the Sawmill Parkway. Is it Henrietta Parkway? So is that area there?
Yes, but St. Patrick's is literally right across the street from the work. They're
Okay.
on the other side of the sidewalk.
Okay. Okay.
So you know, in essence, there's only really two main locations that needed to be notified about this, because Amalgamated covers all of the buildings right there, along Van Cortlandt Park South.
Is it one side of the street?
Yes, it's one side of the street, and it's not
That
on
side of the street?
It's on the westbound side, which is
Is it on the park side or the property side?
the park side, exactly. Yes, it's on the park
Okay,
side.
the park side, okay.
The north side.
Thank
And
you.
how long is this project expected to last?
Currently we're about a month away from moving further down the line. So since we finished the work between Dickinson and Saxon and doing excavation work between Saxon and Hillman, it took about a week and a half to get that work from Dickinson Avenue and Saxon to be completed. So you can expect about a week and a half per block, right? So they are moving swiftly, effectively. Of course, the rain did hamper some progress today. So they weren't able to work today because of the weather. But they will continue tomorrow. And I will be more than happy to send updates as this project moves along.
So I just put up a map on the screen so you can see here's Dickinson Avenue, here's Van Cortlandt Park South, and here's Saxon and Hillman.
We
Okay.
don't see a map.
You don't see the map?
No,
No,
we do not. We see your presentation, but we do not see the map.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on a second. How about
I
now?
don't see the map.
No, you don't? Oh, okay. Well, I guess the presentation is taking over. All right. Well, it's I just Googled Amalgamated, and you know, just to show the streets, but it didn't work.
I don't know if this works here.
no, not really.
No, not really.
That's
Yeah.
Park side,
old,
no.
but thank you. My other question is, you're just repairing the sidewalk, is that it?
That is correct. Just replacing a sidewalk. This is a sidewalk violations project. So it's not the complete sidewalk. It's the affected areas of the sidewalk that can cause someone to get injured. So these are patches of the sidewalk, just filling them in. It's not the
And-
whole sidewalk.
And Julio, can you explain, this particular sidewalk project? Is this the one where folks get violations, or is this the one where they signed up to remove the violations? Do you know?
No, this is actually with the parks. So initially,
Art.
initially the mobilization was to have been done in an area near Yankee Stadium, but because of the World Series, the work had to pivot briskly to Van Cortlandt Park South to take advantage of the good weather. So that's why it was in such short notice, but they have made significant progress in the 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks since they initially got the notice to proceed.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome. Board, any
Okay.
questions, board?
Thank you, Julia. That's all.
No, thank you.
It's very helpful.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
And thank you very much. Working late tonight too. All right,
Thank
so
you,
I
Maria.
guess we can get into this project title is called Northwest Bronx School Safety Improvements. So obviously it's in Community Board 8 and in Community Board 12. So there's 2 locations to this project in separate community boards, and in Community Board 8 there are actually 2 locations. Which we highlight here in the slide. So just to give you some background, this project, I think there was a town hall meeting with the mayor, and the school was concerned about the pedestrian safety and the students traveling to and from, and the sidewalk and street conditions along West 254th. And so, that's kind of how this project came about. Yeah, someone say something? Oh, okay. So there's 2 locations, as you can see from here. And again, some background is the school isn't incorrect at all. I mean, the conditions here definitely are in dire need of improvement. And also when we met with residents last week, they also complained about some flooding conditions. So this project will also help not only with the poor roadway surfaces and making this area also ADA compliant with pedestrian ramps and sidewalks, but we hope to improve some of the visibility issues and, just improvement traveling to and from, different parts like the Metro North and the school. And temporary improvements right now that DOT has put together just to help with pedestrian traffic and delineating the traffic from the pedestrians are these white delineators. But then there was some parking in the delineators, which was really meant to be kind of a quasi sidewalk for the school staff and students who were traveling through. So then DOT put these stones, right? And then the stones were kind of impeding on the students being able to walk through. So my understanding last week when we were presenting some of the updates on these slides to Eric Denowitz's office, he was there virtually and his staff, and we had DOT and we had DEP. Of course, DDC was there. We had our consultants, and we kind of ran through just a handful of slides because, a lot of people have seen this before from the last time we presented in the summer, or was it early fall? And we were just really focusing more on the updates. So the DOT crew was out there last week. I think they were doing measurements because on this last bullet, as far as temporary improvements, to kind of prevent cars from parking and, of course, not impeding on pedestrian flow, DOT is proposing to put some jersey barriers instead of those long sticking out delineators. But again, that's to be determined. I'm not sure. It didn't seem to be well received for whatever reason from residents that were there. There were 2 residents who were representing a body of about 30 other homeowners in the community who had questions about this upcoming project. So let's get into
a jersey barrier. What's a jersey barrier?
So a jersey barrier is like, you ever driven down the highway and you see these really concrete sort of triangular type shaped cement, it's kind of a continuous I don't even know what to tell you.
Recently for the bike. Oh, that's not good. I wouldn't be happy with
Yeah,
that either.
yeah, it's heavy. It's the heavy concrete Jersey barriers. They look very permanent, and they're heavy. You can't move them unless you have a truck. So, they weren't very keen on the idea. So, again, just kind of sharing some of the feedback that we received from the residents. Yeah. So, again, DOT was open to suggestions, but that was something that they were proposing. But they are trying to find a solution, where they can still delineate the pedestrian and vehicular traffic, and at the same time not impede with those stones. So really, it's just bad behavior with cars parking where they shouldn't. So that was one of the things I wanted to highlight in that previous slide. And then of course,
Maria?
yes.
Maria, was there a study
Yes.
done on this? Did you do a count and a traffic study?
So that would be a DOT question. And I'm not sure if they actually did a traffic study. There's different types of traffic studies as well. So I know that there's not a lot of foot traffic other than from the school and the staff in the area. I mean, people do walk their dogs, you do have some folks who walk, all the nursing home traffic. And then of course it is a corridor towards the Metro North. So you do get that bus, right? And you get car, vehicular traffic as well. Especially in the, peak hours of the day and the morning and the afternoon. So no, I'm not sure if there were studies done with regards to that.
Maria, some of the homeowners were upset about the sidewalk going into their yard.
Yes. So I'm going to kind of get into that a little bit. So obviously there is need for improvement. The infrastructure here is very old, as old as in the 1920s. So we talk about early 19th century here. So it's old. It's old. And it does need some upgrading. So whenever we try to be as proactive as possible to how should we say, replace water main before there's water main breaks. And, they were complaining about some flooding as well. They were very happy about the fact that we were going to separate the combined sewer to separate sanitary and storm sewer. So they were very happy to hear about that. And then, of course, obviously, the amenities, we'll have planting strips on the sidewalks. They're looking at some green infrastructure if and where possible as part of this. So that's part of what they're trying to design now to see, if it makes sense to have bioswales or infiltration basins, some type of green infrastructure as well to add on to the hard infrastructure drainage system. And of course, any trees that we disturb, we obviously do work with the Parks Department for restitution and planting in the immediate area. So these are the improvements. This is the yellow represents the sidewalk. So as you can see, the sidewalk will vary in widths. So we want to try to accomplish a continuous either 5 to 8 feet in different areas, depending on the width of the street. So it could be one side of the sidewalk could be 5 feet, the opposite side could be 8, or they could both be 5, or they could both be 8. So that will vary depending on the width of the existing street bed. And again, the importance of this is to make it possible for all users, whether make it ADA compliant, right? So pedestrian ramps will allow strollers, walkers, wheelchair users, easier access. Right now, that's almost impossible with the conditions that are there now. But again, the idea is to maintain, 12-foot travel lane in each direction, and make that more continuous. So this was the original footprint of the project. And here, I think we mentioned in our earlier presentation when we met with the community board that we had just received some additional scope of work from DEP, which is actually good news. I mean, they're investing in the community. They recognize that more work needs to be done in the ground. So they're adding additional new sewers. So in red, if you see the line there, in red, they've expanded the new sewers to go off of West 254th into Palisades. And that's going to help with water flow not rushing all the way through into the water area. So the residents were very happy to hear about that, because that will definitely address that particular situation downhill, closer to the water. So these sewer and water main improvements are going to be very, that's a positive. And then, of course, the sidewalks. We're going to add catch basins, right, as part of the overall improvement of the drainage. So we're increasing the capacity. We're separating combined sewers with separation of storm and sanitary, right? But what's also great about it is that we're going to add catch basins, right? So where there aren't any existing catch basins, now, again, water will be captured in that way as well. So not only green infrastructure, but we're still doing catch basins. The thing with the sidewalks, though, and this is kind of how we explained it, is the water diverts into the catch basins with the curbs, right? So we have to put the curbs, and then, of course, when we're grading a new roadway, there's always a slight crown on the very middle part of the street, and then slopes downward toward the curb, so the water all just kind of accumulates that way, and then the catch basins diverted right into the catch basins on either end of the roads, on the corners. So that's another improvement that we're going to include as part of this project, capturing that stormwater. So, again, I think we talked about the challenges. I don't think they've changed. Obviously, we still have to do a lot of utility coordination. The overhead utilities that you see there today will remain there today. That came up at the meeting as well. That was a question that was asked. And again, these new DEP stormwater rule requirements for the green infrastructure, that's something that's incorporated in this plan as well. And then, just other coordination with MTA in addition to, other challenges. DOT has to, kind of rethink the street lighting. We're going to improve street lighting. And some of this will require relocation of some of the light poles and where they are now. Obviously, we have to maintain traffic during construction. So OCMC, obviously, there's coordination with regards to that. So, the sloping, there's a lot of sloping and steep roadway. So that's something that we're hoping to somewhat address in this project. And then street parking. Okay, so that's going to be a permanent impact. Once we add sidewalks, I think right now on some of those roads along West 254th, the cars are parked, right, on one side of the roadway. When we add the sidewalks, that will no longer be possible because it's just going to be one lane in either direction for through traffic. It is a very narrow street to begin with. And once we take up some of that for sidewalk, that's also where we kind of impede in some of the properties. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then again, we are also aware of the landmark status and the characteristic of the community. It's very beautiful, and that's something that's important to maintain as well as we design this project. And again, other community impacts obviously is the land acquisition. That's a legal process. It's ongoing. It's still in, somewhat in the early stages. That can take many years. So as the project is being designed, which also can take a couple of years, on a parallel track is the acquisition process as well. It's unfolding, right? And we've got some slides that kind of talk a little bit into that. And then again, there's also some encroachments. So over time, folks do improvements in their home and they kind of creep further and further out towards the street. And that happens everywhere in every community. Eventually there's some encroachments. With that, again, with regards to acquisitions or encroachments, the city is only going to use what they need, right? So if you have an acquisition map where and I'm just throwing numbers out here, let's say it's 10 feet, but we only need 4, then we're only going to use 4, right? And not the whole 10, right? So we'll show that in a bit. And the same thing with encroachments. You know, we only use what we need. If we can work around a stone wall and we don't have to touch it, we will not touch the stone wall. If we can work around it, we will work around it, because we only need to use a certain portion, even though, you know, we're creating a right of way, right? And so we're delineating what the new right of way will look like as far as the city acquiring that part of the property. And even though we may not be using it all, again, there's this whole other thing that happens at the very end of acquisitions with where obviously there's compensation involved for the property owner. So part of what we're looking at right now is, you know, handling transitions, right? So if there's like a sloped driveway, and we again are cutting into the, you know, what we need, we're going to make sure that those transitions are, you know, we're going to smooth out the driveway transition. If there's pathways, or if, let's say, we impede on, let's say, some steps or something like that, we'll have to rebuild those steps. If there's walkways where we impact, and you know, we have to make sure that the homeowner has access to their home. You know, so we're not going to leave them in a lurch. We will take care of those transitions as part of this project. But again, the question is, what type of materials are we going to use, right? So those are things that are still part of the design process and discussions. So we don't have a lot of the specifics and details just yet on that. But as the development of the project continues, like we've said before, we'll come back and we'll continue to update. And then, of course, the tree. I mean, you have some really beautiful mature trees. And there are, and I have some pictures, and we'll show you some of the trees that may be impacted as a result of the new sidewalks that have to be built. And we are working with the Parks Department with regards to that as well. So this is new, tentative project milestones. So, I mean, if you compared this presentation with the last presentation that we gave you earlier this year, you'll see that the numbers changed. The reason for that is the inclusion of the additional DEP scope of work. So it was significant, and it does require us to, all that coordination and all those challenges that I talked about earlier, all of those things still factor in. And so we have to, again, look at, you know, everything when we're including, you know, new blocks and things of that nature. So, so these are the new dates. So it looks like we'll be at 40% in March. And this is why we were like, hey, let's wait till early next year, spring, because at 40%, we know what the geometry in the ground is going to look like, right? We know where it's going to land. So if we're bringing out sidewalks and curbs, what DEP doesn't like is their infrastructure under the ground to be under sidewalks. You know, they rather it be in the street bed, right? So if they need to have access or emergency access to it, they can do that without disturbing, you know, pedestrian traffic. So they you know, so that's some of the coordination, you know, regarding the geometry in the ground. So at 40%, we know more or less where the water mains and the sewers are going to land in the street. Okay. And then at 75%, we're almost done, right? So that's late summer. And then we'll be done, you know, February of 2026, 100% with the design plans. And that includes everything: tree mitigation, street lighting, any controlled stops, intersections along the way as far as DOT improvements and safety improvements are concerned, things of that nature. Okay. And then advertising and the bid opening, and award contracts. So you'll see from March to October, that's a big gap, right? So that's more or less our procurement phase. So a lot of things happen in the background when the project's in design. Design prepares the bid package. It goes to legal for review just to make sure that we've got everything in there. And then once we go out for bid, we actually also have to review all of those bid contracts to make sure that even the lowest bidder, which is not always great, it's not the best process, but that's the process we have, that the lowest bidder didn't forget anything either, you know, or do they have the capacity to do this project, or do they have the experience to do this project? So there's a lot in that review process as well, right? So I'm giving you a lot of little extra information you probably don't even care about, but that we do all of that during the pre-award process, you know, just to make sure that we're okay, that we're not going to get stuck, right? And then the community gets stuck. We want to make sure the contractor knows what he's doing. And then construction will happen sometime around this time of year. In about 2 years, we'll have construction on this project. So as you know, you've been familiar with a lot of our community construction liaisons over the years. And, you know, they're the point of contact, first port of contact for the residents and the businesses. They're accessible and available for any inquiries or concerns that the community may have. And we try to ask them to be proactive, not only with their notification, but also with their outreach, and, you know, try to anticipate any problems before they become issues, right? So they do more than just hand out pieces of paper and notify people. And, you know, we want them to be issue oriented and, you know, resolutions. Okay, so that happens at the construction phase. So when that person's assigned, obviously we do another presentation. We come back during the pre-construction construction phase, and then we have a whole set of other details of what to expect during construction. So in 2 years, that's the conversation then. But I think I just kind of talked about all of this. So we're going to have shutdowns, right? If we're doing water main, we're going to shut down the water. So people want to know. So we have a policy, you know, 72, 24 hour. And we have many different ways in which we can communicate with residents and businesses. And they're constantly sending out advisories. They could have, you know, it could be 2 or 3 advisories in a week or in a month. It really depends on the project. And the weekly look ahead is issued every Friday, highlighting what work is coming the next week. We have a project information card we start with, and we have quarterly newsletters. So we actually even give you kind of a look ahead of what's going to happen next quarter and what took place, you know, as far as the work that's been done and completed. Street acquisitions. Okay, I'm not Luann. I'm not. This is not my forte here, but with regards to street acquisition, it is involving West 254th Street from Palisades Avenue, the intersections of the small intersections, Independence Avenue, and I forget what this other, but it stops there basically. I don't know what this third piece is here. I'm not sure what that street is. Now I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Independence and Rivercrest Road. Rivercrest Road. Yeah, Rivercrest Road. Yeah, Rivercrest Road. That's what it looks like. Oh, Sycamore. It's Sycamore Avenue, actually, isn't it? Sycamore. So it's from Palisades to just before Independence. So this little, whatever this street is here. Okay. So I guess that little street that was unnamed, that's what this is. It looks like it's a dead end and it's not named on here, but that's where it is. We don't go all the way to Independence. So.
It's probably Sigma Place.
Sigma? Oh, Sigma. Okay.
Yes.
Sigma. Okay, so that's where that little street is, just before. Okay. All right. So
Sigma Street is in a totally different area.
It's right on Palisades between
Sigma is next to the Hebrew Home.
Right.
So yeah, so I don't know. I'm thinking it's like, you know, there's Independence. It goes like Rivercrest Road. I'm thinking it's probably
It goes beyond. It goes towards Arlington.
Can we move on?
Okay. Yep. Let's do that. Thank you. All right. So moving on, street acquisitions. So these were the residents that we knew would be at the meeting. So we kind of highlighted a few locations of interest. And as you can see, the property that will be taken, we have the square footage here. So we're only taking, I don't want to say only, but it's 1,654 in total. And as you can see, you know, it could be as much as just 3 or 4 square feet, or as much as, you know, 368 square feet. But that's the most of it. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right. So, and so what she did was she highlighted the yellow. So in here, there's like a sliver of yellow where the tax line, lot line is, right? And then there's a sliver of blue. So it shows the blue is Joda, right? That sliver is Abraham or Jenna, and then the pink is John, right? John Norrisberg. So so we only take what we need. And so here is the tax lot line, right? The stitching. But then this black line that you see here, that's been shaded with different colors, that is the portion that we would go all the way. And that's the portion that we would use. So if we were looking at a right of way on a street map, and you see these pictures here. So this first street here, this first picture all the way to the left, this fence would be impacted, this white fence. So that would go. And then here, it's some of the shrubbery and probably those 2 steps. And maybe the fence survives, but not the 2 steps. And so this is what I was talking about as far as transition. So we would have to rebuild, you know, some steps further in and kind of handle that transition from where we're going. And then the picture all the way to the right, where you see we would have to, you know, create a sidewalk where there isn't one. It would impact some of these trees and some shrubbery that folks have on their property right now. So that's just some examples of the right of way. Yeah. And so if you wanted to see where the original, and I believe the line that's there now is this line here. This is like where it's supposed to be, the right of way. And here's the tax line, but we're only going this far. Over here, this is where the existing curb is on the bottom. See this green shade right here, Schwartz property. So right now, this is the existing curb line. So we're going to build this all the way out to the green shade. So it'll be a corner at that intersection. So that would be the transition there. All right, moving on. And again, some more examples of encroachments. And this is the encroachments, is this? Yes, this is the encroachments. As you can see, the red line and, you know, where where the roadway should be, or rather the sidewalk, but there are trees there. There's a driveway and then some curvature to the entryway into that property. And the same here with this driveway. So this driveway, it's a pretty high impacted area. So the picture all the way to the left. And so when we were presenting this, we were saying, so this is the right of way, but again, we might not need all of that. We may not touch the white stone or cement wall, the retaining wall that he has here. So if we can move it further out, then we don't have to touch the cement stone wall. We will try to do that in whenever we have whenever that's possible. So the good thing is that, you know, letters have been sent out, letters will continue to be sent out. And when we're in construction, our liaison, as well as most likely our resident engineer, will be reaching out to all of these affected property owners. And we will let them know within about 30 days, the contractor's ready to do the work, right? He's ready to perform the work. So although we're not even going to start construction for the next 2 years, if this is, let's say, a 2-year project, the last thing that we do is roadway and sidewalk. The first thing we will do is all the in-ground work first. So that's probably another 2 years before we even get to impact these property owners. So that's the other piece of it. So, you know, we're letting them know now. And They have every opportunity if they want. They can take care of this themselves. They can do what they want behind the line. That's fine before we get there, or they can wait until we get there. And sometimes our contractor in the letter, 30-day notice, we can say, hey, listen, we're ready to start. This is what needs to be removed. If you cannot remove it, our contractor can do it for you. If there is some materials or things that you would like us to leave on, in your property off to the side somewhere, we can do that. But we're not responsible for the, whatever it is that we're removing. But the contractors usually are pretty good about it. But they'll set it aside if that's something that they're interested in. Sometimes people have cobblestones, they have different kinds of special, materials that they wanted to use or reuse. We do that. So that conversation happens in the construction phase prior to us touching anything. So the acquisition milestone and where we are now. When we met earlier, I think I mentioned to you that we were not necessarily, it's parallel track as far as the process, right? The design is going on, acquisitions is going on. And back then, it seemed as though the project was going to start construction earlier than where we would have liked to have been during acquisitions. So now with the additional DEP work, we're right on track. I think we're where we want to be, not only in the design phase, but also in the acquisition process. So we were planning on doing some outreach. We go into the community, we try to find a place that's close proximity to the affected area where we could meet with the homeowners. Sometimes it's a school, sometimes it's another location. We have a nursing home and we have the school. We can meet there, we schedule a meeting. We send out notices and we say, okay, if you want to know exactly what's happening on your property, come to this meeting. We'll talk to you. We'll explain it. And that happens that would have happened next year, spring, right? Or summer. That's about as early as we were planning on doing the outreach. So the fact that we met last week with a couple of the representatives, they're going to take back a lot of this information that we shared, but it's not the first, nor will it be the last time that we meet with the residents. So I guess that's the important thing to walk away with regards to our community outreach regarding acquisitions. The contact person for acquisitions is different than the contact person that you would call for just regular general information on the project as well. So we do have that information. You should have that information if you don't already have it. And then, this is where we are with the negative declaration. This is going to happen next year, winter. And then construction, we anticipate will start early winter 2027. So we're right around the time of title vesting. And then once that happens, there's appraisal and then compensation. And that's right around when the project begins. So we're in good shape here for that. These are just some frequently asked questions. Nothing on this slide has changed since the last time we met, but there is a project acquisitions coordinator contact on here. That's the same person. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
We have some questions.
Sure.
Hi, this is just for starting with just for our committee questions and pulling out. We have to, like we usually do at our meetings, wait till we're called on, hands up, and wait for our chair to call on somebody, because everybody's just asking questions and it's willy-nilly. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, you don't have a question?
No, I'm just saying that was my...
Kelly, you have a question?
First is a statement, actually. First one is, you mentioned earlier in the presentation that this was sent over to the board office.
This I just got.
You mentioned earlier, I just said earlier, I didn't say when you got it, okay? You mentioned earlier that you received this presentation. Can it please be distributed, 1, to the committee, 2, to the board, and 3, posted in normal channels and distributed in normal channels to the community? Yes, okay, thank you.
Oh,
Now-
so if you would like, we do have a copy of this presentation, on our website. So the one that we did earlier in the year is in our,
No, I appreciate the copy of the web, being on your website, but I think we should have a revised copy,
yeah,
because
this is the
dates
latest.
have
Yeah, this
changed.
is the latest. Yeah.
And I would like for the copy that you provided to the board office to be distributed in the manner in which I just described.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, just for anybody who may be interested in the community who might ask, any presentation that we give will end up on our website. So if they haven't had an opportunity to attend, or if they would like to get an immediate copy and you can't give it to them right away, they can just go to DDC Outreach, Google it, and it's right there.
Thank you. Next question. Estimated, I know that we're still early and we're in the design phase, but this is going to be a repeated question every time you present it to the committee and to the board. And I am going to make a recommendation that at all of your key mile markers, your milestones, that you actually bring a report back to the community so that the community is kept abreast of what's going on. And your presentation can be as little as 5 minutes. Just say where we are.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Yes, we can do that.
A 40% design phase, let us know that happened. And once that has happened, where do we move, how do we move forward? Also,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So at 40%, we also send a letter to the community boards and the elected officials, letting them know that we've reached 40%. It's called a mass mailing 1 letter. And copies of the design, the actual design, are sent to the board. So at 40%, we send you the information. So you'll get that. And we also do it again at 70, 75%. We'll send you a copy of the final designs as well. So that's just something that we do for all of our DDC projects, all of the city. We do a 40% letter. So we definitely will let you know.
Perfect, thank you. That's all I have for now, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Mine was similar, making sure that the homeowners are aware and they're getting information, because as a past home owner and having an easement, I know what it's like when things are in question and you're not informed until the project is already rolling along. So just that the homeowners are informed.
Okay.
And there's evidence that they were informed, not hearsay.
And perhaps, Josh, thinking ahead, you indicated March, I believe, 2025. They would have a milestone, perhaps at the May or June TNT meeting. It can be on the agenda. And then going forward, perhaps, since they said, I believe the second one was August, perhaps at the October or November TNT meeting, so this way we have routine presentations from DDC.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Rosemary.
Anybody else? No? Okay. I just want to be clear on the parking. The words that you used were, there will be restrictions on parking during construction and after. Are you saying no parking will be allowed on that street? Or it hasn't
Correct.
been determined that where parking
No.
will be allowed and where it won't be?
So there is going to be short and long term. There's going to be temporary and permanent impacts to parking during construction and after. Yes. So during construction, whatever cars are parked there now, once we start doing the infrastructure work, we will restrict parking. I mean, it's not really a parking space to begin with. It shouldn't be a parking space, but it's being used that way, right, by the community. And it has, that's just, we understand that, but that's something that happens on a lot of our projects where the contractor needs room to perform the work in a safe manner, and we need to be able to, create a zone, construction zone.
After?
And so once the sidewalks are built, I mean, and this was discussed at the meeting last week, and DOT was there, and they also confirmed it. Once the sidewalks are built with the curbs, there's again, the intention of this project is to have 2 lanes of traffic, one going in one direction and one going in the other direction. So that's basically what we're looking at. We're looking at full roadway reconstruction. So 12 lane going in either direction with continuous sidewalks on both sides of the street. And the sidewalk width will vary depending on what's going on with the roadway, right? Because this is a very uneven, obviously not a very structured roadway at all. And so, we're going to be able to define those spaces after this project is complete.
So there's no parking after it's finished, there'll be no parking
Correct.
allowed on 234th. That's all I was, okay.
Yes.
You mentioned that there will be an EAS negative declaration in the winter of 2025. There is no declaration at this point. There's an EAS process. Are you in the middle of it? Does that
Yes,
EAS
that's happening now.
document exist? Does
Yeah,
the
that's
EAS
happening.
document exist? Okay, I'm sorry.
So that's happening next year winter.
Let me try this again. Does the EAS document exist now?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe that is something that's being worked on as part of this process, and the EAS negative declaration will not happen until what is earmarked here in this presentation, winter 2025. So around this time next year, there will be an EAS negative declaration around this time next year.
Okay, I just want to go, EASs, public comment is allowed on EASs, correct?
Yeah, there will be a public hearing where the public comment will be made in March of 2026.
Thank you, that's what I was saying, and that,
Yes.
so therefore the document doesn't yet exist that
Correct.
somebody can read and comment on, right? It doesn't exist
Correct.
yet, but will. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
It's being developed, yes.
Okay, the next question is who pays for the removal of the stuff on the property owner's property, and who pays for the construction of the sidewalks?
So construction of the sidewalk is going to be done under this contract, under this particular project. And I think I had mentioned before, there's still some internal discussions as to what extent the transitions and materials for those transitions would look like. So those have not yet been determined. That is an ongoing discussion among the agencies. As you know, this is a DOT sponsored project. So again, I don't think that has been finalized as of yet. That's still something that's kind of being tossed back and forth at this time.
Just as a general rule, the property owner pays for the sidewalk. That's a general rule. If there's something
Yes.
different about this project, that would be good to know.
My understanding is that there is no sidewalk, doesn't exist. And only when you have an existing sidewalk, and there are existing violations and the city has to go and make those repairs, the property owner receives what's called a violation, right? They send out an inspector, they kind of survey and see what flags are defective, right? And based on only those defective flags would then be billed towards the homeowner, right? In this particular case, we don't have existing sidewalks. Right.
Thank you.
I'm responsible, but that's what happened to me.
So, yeah.
I give up.
But what I will do is just to double check, because again, there are no sidewalks here, but just to double check, we will find out whether or not there will be a charge to the property owners for these new sidewalks under this particular contract. I'll double check. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because once the sidewalk is there, the homeowner is responsible for the sidewalk, for
Absolutely.
snow removal and everything else.
For the construction of the sidewalk. That's right.
This is part of the easement.
One last question. Are there any homeowners on the screen now? I would love to hear from a homeowner. If there are any homeowners on the screen, and if they'd like to say anything to us, I would very much welcome comment from the homeowners if they're on.
They have to raise their hand if they want to speak.
Doesn't look like it.
They didn't move it over, Sarah. The thing is, they can see the blue thing.
No, if they raise their hand, they would come up.
Pop up.
Right. No questions?
Oh, wait, here's
Wait,
one.
there's one.
There we go.
Abe is there, okay.
Okay, who would be interested in saying something to us? That's what, I'd love to hear from a homeowner.
Hey, yeah. So thank you to the committee for allowing me to speak, but also to Maria. I was part of the group of homeowners who proactively reached out to Councilmember Dinowitz's office, who then arranged for the meeting last week at his office with Maria and a number of representatives from the agency. And so we've kind of been discussing this just so the community board and the committee understands what a lot of the neighbors are thinking is that the project represents in many ways improvements that many members are excited about. For instance, the infrastructure improvements. I do think that there is some hesitation about putting sidewalks on both sides. I think, Maria, you had mentioned at the meeting that it's an absolute legal requirement. But from many of the homeowners' perspective, the thinking is that some safety improvements are definitely needed. But if there was a way to install sidewalks on one side of the street, that way you would not need to take down some trees, which are quite old and beautiful, and really provide the neighborhood with a unique feel. And also you would obviate the need for any kind of acquisitions, or encroachments. And that's something that I think is still in the minds of many homeowners up and down 254th. But I guess we don't really know whether that two sidewalk approach is absolutely legally required or not. But that is just one top of mind question. But we're not against the project right out of the gate. But there are definitely questions, and the more information, the more transparency that could be provided, the more that we could increase the level of trust between the government and the homeowners.
I want to thank Mr. Safdie. It's very good to hear from somebody in the community on that street. Just one question for you, Mr. Safdie. Do you have a sense that the property owners up and down 254th in the entire length of the proposed project, do you think everyone is aware of these facts? Do you think that they're well enough informed to understand what it means for their property? I mean, it's unfair to ask you that, but if you have a sense of that, I think maybe we'd like to hear that.
No, I appreciate the question. Yeah, no, we put together a WhatsApp chat, and we do have around, I don't know, 35, 40 people on the chat. But having said that, I do think that there's got to be, I think, 2 or maybe 3 houses that are going to be affected. And I don't think they're on the chat. At a very high level, the houses on the north side of the street are impacted disproportionately versus the houses on the south side. So for instance, the south side of the street does tend to have retaining walls that are not going to be disturbed, whereas on the north side of the street, my house included, there are going to be, my house is one of the few houses that there's going to be an acquisition. And then there's other houses where there's going to be encroachments. So I do know that there are probably 2 or 3 houses or homeowners who are not on the WhatsApp chat, although I've asked their direct neighbors to just verbally let people know. But I honestly don't know. I wouldn't be able to say for certain that it's at 100%.
I really appreciate your answer. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And
that's why we need to inform.
Henry, by the way, Henry, whose hand is raised, is a neighbor as well.
Henry?
Hand is raised.
Can you hear us?
To unmute himself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I'm not directly on 254th, but I'm on Rivercrest Road, which is a small private road, comes off there. So there are a few questions. One is, it seems like you're going to be eliminating parking for the whole 254th Street. That's, I don't know how many, maybe 50 parking, maybe 50 cars park on that area. And so one question is, what's going to happen with all the people who have to park there? How is that going to be? Is there any plans to make some, provide some way where they can park? A lot of them go to the school. The other thing is 254th Street, Rivercrest Road goes into 254th Street. And so we are basically landlocked there. We're stuck over there. That's the only entrance or exit off of 254th Street. How will this impact us, and how will it prevent us from moving in and out of our homes?
So you said 254th Street and where?
Rivercrest Road.
Rivercrest.
Well, I do know that, I mentioned one of the challenges is the OCMC steps, the stipulations of how the contractor would perform the work, what hours, what restrictions they may be allowed. And I do know that one of the requirements is the contractor has to perform the work and still maintain through traffic and emergency lane traffic. So we cannot block access to your home if you need to go into your home. But if we're digging we're not necessarily going onto the side street, right? So we wouldn't impact that small road. The only side street that we're working considerably on is Palisades, right? So it's more the intersection, right? If we're working there and we're digging a trench in front of there, we may have to do just half of the street and then leave the other half of the street accessible. And then once we're done and we close up that other side, then we work, we continue the work and do the other half, because we have to maintain through traffic at all times. Even after we can't close the street permanently for a long period of time during even our 8-hour work shift. So that is something that means and methods, right? That's something that the contractor has to think about how he's going to maintain that, in addition to being in compliance with the DOT stipulations of what he can and cannot do in that particular location. So that's just one example. I'm not saying that's what he would do. Another thing is, if we do have to dig a continuous trench when we're doing some of the in-ground work, right? Water main usually goes very quickly, and we can do that. We pull it out, put it in. Sewer work, a lot deeper, a lot more excavation involved, takes a lot more time, and to backfill it and then cover it up, that takes a lot of time. So we have, I'm sure you see construction where there's metal plates on the ground, right? So once we do what we need to do and we have access at some point, however long it may take us to dig out a trench, we can then cover it with a metal plate, and then that again will allow cars to access West 254th Street from side streets when we're working at intersections. So there are ways. These contractors, this is what they do. And so it's just a matter of how extensive would the inconvenience be and for how long, right? And that is something that is obviously communicated in advance with our community construction liaison. Another thing that our liaison does as well is we do survey the community, and if there are people with that need special accommodations, right? Elderly have ADA accessibility, they need access, right? They have to go to appointments, things of that nature. That's something that we take note of, and that's something that we also have to factor in when we're planning this project.
Even on some simple repairs on that street, there's a tremendous amount of traffic because of the school. There's also a lot of traffic from the railroad. There are not only buses, but cars going up and down.
Okay.
So that it's, even with a small amount of, Digging, it's caused tremendous amount of wait times to everyone. I imagine this would be much, much more problematic. Is there going to be a detailed discussion with those who are affected about exactly how this is going to unfold?
I had mentioned earlier in the presentation that we'll have a team on the ground, and one of the members of the team is the community construction liaison. They'll handle the day-to-day communication. We provide advance notification. We can provide advance notification through our newsletters. We kind of give you a sneak peek of what's coming for the next quarter, right? For the next 3 months or 4 months. And then we have the weekly bulletin, which is issued on a Friday, highlighting the work that's coming the following week. And then we also have our advisories of the very specific work operations and what those related impacts would be. And that's a 72 and then a 24-hour confirmation or cancellation. And so one of the things that the liaison is responsible to do is to canvass the neighborhood ahead of what the contractor is going to do, right? And then take back, how this work is going to impact the community, right? And so that's one of the things that we definitely do take into consideration. And then if it doesn't look like it might work, or we feel like the impact would be significant, we obviously have to let the homeowners know that from the hours of, whatever, when we do shut down, it's usually, we say 8 hours, but we try to finish by 2, no later than 3 o'clock. But sometimes it's just a 2-hour test shutdown, So again, depending on how extensive a particular restriction or impact, service restriction would, service interruption would be, we would definitely communicate that in advance. I mean, and the sooner that we have that conversation, the better it is for us, right? Because sometimes our contractors need more time to figure it out. And if we need to pivot, sometimes that's what we do. Just as one of the liaisons earlier had mentioned, we were planning on doing some sidewalk work, but then, the World Series, the Yankee Stadium, right? We couldn't do work there. So we quickly pivoted to another location, which happened to be by Amalgamated Houses, right? So contractors, they tend to have a backup plan.
And in terms of offsetting the loss of all those parking spaces, is there some kind of plan?
No, I mean, that's going to be a permanent loss once the project takes place and after the project is completed. I mean, that is the intention of the project, is to create 2 sidewalks on both sides of the street with through traffic, 12-foot lanes in either direction. But in order for DOT to do these safety improvements along that West 254th corridor, we're also including this DEP work, right? This infrastructure work that's sorely needed in addition to that. And as I kind of explained in a meeting last week, the water has to be deviated usually through curbs, right, that are installed that leads them into the catch basins, right? So in order for this drainage plan to really work and be as effective as it should be, it's not just the curb. It is part of how the drainage system works. So with the stormwater.
Can I just ask one other question with regard to the project? I know there was initial discussions of burying the electric lines. Is there any good reason why they wouldn't? Because that is a major problem. There are constantly outages. The trees over there, when they're already digging up the whole street, wouldn't be an ideal time to put these things below ground. It also would get rid of all these large utility lines that you're going to have to move and reconstruct when you put in the sidewalks.
Yeah, that was discussed at the meeting last week. DOT was there, and DOT basically stated that whatever is buried underground is going to remain underground, and whatever is overhead utilities will remain overhead utilities under this project. They were not burying any additional utilities in the ground. That is what was shared.
And did they give an explanation? Is that
okay? Thank you very
They
much.
did not. They did not. I mean, you know what? This is not an uncommon request in a lot of cases, especially in communities that are in coastal communities in particular, right? Because when we have storms and you're close to water, it's a lot fierce, right? The winds, everything is a lot stronger. And yes, you know, the possibility of service lines going down is a very real possibility, especially when you have really large trees, right? When they come down, so do your cable and your electricity, all of that. So yes, it makes perfect sense. Why not do it? But I know that we have utility coordination with a lot of the different utilities, Con Ed, Altis, you know, and so those discussions are part of the design phase, but someone has to pay for it. I know you don't want to hear that, but I'm being honest with you. It is very expensive, and it's a safety project, and it's not something that you know, you have to make a decision as to where to spend the money, right? And I'm not saying that that's DOT's reason for not doing it, but that is a reality, and a lot of times that is a factor. I've heard, you know, and I feel comfortable enough to share this with you, because it is not a uncommon request, and it's one that is hardly ever. I can't even remember the last project that we've done where we've buried lines. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for the presentation, Maria.
Okay.
Rosemary, you have another question?
No, I want to make I think we're coming to I don't know, maybe we are, maybe we're not, but two things that I asked for, I want to be very specific about. Many times things get mentioned at committee meetings and just get forgotten. In addition to different documents, Kelly has named, I want to make sure that my two questions on who pays for the removal of trees, walls, etc., in that line, which they're going to draw and say we're taking it. Who pays for the removal of all that stuff? And number two, who pays for the building of those sidewalks? Those two questions. And the second is, when the EAS is done, I would like them, and I don't know if Maria is the person who does the EAS, DDC, I'm not going to ask. Whoever does the EAS, that it be sent to the community board, and we're made aware when that document exists. It's a very useful, important document for people in the community and us to see.
Okay, we'll reach out to the DDC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bender has his hand raised.
Question? Comment, Bob?
Yes, I do have a question and a comment. First of all, for many years, I walked to the train station down 254th Street. Fortunately, the jitney was there, so I didn't have to walk back up at the end of the day. I'm very familiar with this street, and it desperately needs sidewalks and has needed them for years. And I'm glad to see that this project is finally underway. I should point out, and Maria, I know this is not a DDC issue, but the situation particularly on the north side of the street between Independence Avenue and Sycamore, the area that has been currently delineated as the pedestrian walkway is in terrible condition. It's hazardous, and almost everybody who walks in that area walks out in the street, not in the portion that is delineated as the pedestrian area, because the surface is so uneven that, as I say, it's hazardous. So I have a feeling that DOT, which is responsible for that situation, is not going to do anything pending this project that's on the boards, although the project work won't even begin until late 2027.
2 years from now. Yeah, 2 years from now.
Exactly. In the meantime, it is a hazardous situation for pedestrians. So I did want to point that out. And I would point that out to the committee if you're unaware of this situation. It's actually, there have been stories in the Riverdale Press about it. But that's the current situation. That's not what we're here to address. I was interested to see that you're going to be providing ADA accessibility at the curbs in this project. The slope of the street between Independence and Sycamore is way in excess of anything that would qualify as ADA accessible. ADA accessibility, I think, is something like a 4 to 5% slope, 4% to 5%, just to be clear. The slope there, I'm not an engineer, but the slope there surely is in excess of 20%. It's a really steep slope. So I'm a little confused about the ADA element in this. If somebody wants to go from north to south, that's one thing. But if you want to go down 254th Street, there's no way it's ADA accessible.
Sidewalks have to have ADA.
I'm sorry, say again?
I thought new sidewalks have to have ADA accessibility.
Yes, so I think if I remember correctly, oh gosh, I wish I was paying better attention. I think that might have gotten lost a little bit in the sauce, but that came up. I think that everything on this project is going to be ADA accessible, except for, I don't remember exactly what the design consultant mentioned. There was one section of street on one side of the street that the slope was too much. I mean, like we can do what we can, but I think that particular piece may not be. I'm not 100% sure. I can get back to you on that, just to be sure. But you're right. I mean, I think that was one of the challenges that we talked about, right? That there is a lot of pronounced sloping along this corridor, and it's going to be very challenging. But that's something that we're going to try to address. Yeah. So you're talking about the same thing, Independence and Sycamore, that area there as far as the
That's
slope.
right. That's where the
Okay.
steepest slope is on the street. And just to be clear, I think this is wonderful that this project is finally happening.
We can't continue, but thank you very much.
Thanks
All
to
right,
the committee.
I'll look into that. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
All
Maria.
right,
I
so
appreciate it.
so I have seven items to follow up with. That's what I have on my list.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Here.
Have a good
Okay.
evening.
Is
Thank
there
you.
an agenda item?
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Have a good evening.
you should have 7 items?
She has followed, 7 followed.
Okay, we need to go back to Tin Marin.
No, he's gonna come back.
Oh.
Now that Tin Marin is here.
Yes, there we
Yeah.
go. Well,
By 7 o'clock, I think I rung the wrong bell.
Yeah, unfortunately, they had to go to the next item, so, but thank you.
You learned something today.
You want to go ahead? You went through this?
Yes.
You put it together?
Yes, we
Did you
applying
encounter
for the
any-
new sidewalk.
Were there any problems?
Basically the same setup.
Rosemary had 2 questions.
Yeah, hi, how are you? You got a beautiful restaurant, you had a lot of beauty to the street. But as I understand the, taking, reserving the place for your tables.
We're going to have 2 minutes for questions and answers.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is the community board, we ask questions, don't we?
Go ahead.
For your restaurant, it's delineated, this is a space that you can have your business. One of the things, I think, Farah, you had the 3 questions we're supposed to ask ourselves, right? It really pertains to the remainder of the sidewalk. Is it free and clear for pedestrians? Because it's been narrowed for your purposes, so what's left has to be open and free for people to walk. So thinking of that, I'm looking at your 2 pictures here, and the first one has, I can see 4 or 5 garbage cans lined up in what is not the area that you're asking permission for. It's in the public space, which would be the public sidewalk. they're upside down, they're not there to go to be picked up. It is where people park their car, you couldn't open your door to get out. My question is, do you not have a place inside your store to store those when they are not full of garbage, waiting to be picked up?
Unfortunately, we do not. Our space is small, it's not that big. We don't have a basement unit, it's very difficult. We have to find a way to bring them in.
That's my question. You're gonna find a way to bring them in, right?
It's gonna be a lot easier now. We're trying to get a door next door, so we're gonna have a lot more space. So those things are gonna be definitely be inside. During business hours, it's basically impossible for us to have those things inside because we do not have the space. So we don't have a basement, and I don't know where to put them. So hopefully we get this other stored this week, hopefully, and then we can put them in storage.
You understand my issue?
Yes, of course I understand. Of course I understand.
This is not acceptable for.
It's a bad look for us too. Believe me, I don't want those things out there like that.
Okay, and storing the tables.
The second is your next picture outside. Again, I think those must be tables, I think, are all stored outside on the sidewalk.
Those aren't there anymore. We during the summer, we were very busy, so we had extra tables. We were allowed to use our neighbor's sidewalk, because we were allowed, during the COVID situation. But those tables are not there anymore. We took them away. It was during the summer, but they're not anymore.
Thank you very much.
We have actually a van that we put them in.
Okay.
Because we have no space.
Yeah, Kelly.
I had my hand up now.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Mariana.
So those garbage cans are there all day, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just at night?
No, all day.
I was gonna say, because maybe you could just move some of those tables, but if they were during the night, just during the night, maybe you can.
No, we could put them inside.
We can't do that when I'm speaking, I have the floor.
What are you talking about?
Because
Miriam, please consider, no one is whispering, please continue, please continue, because you're making accusations.
No, I'm not.
Now you're wasting time,
No, I'm
so
not.
can you please
Kelly,
continue?
I have the floor, don't.
And I keep saying to continue.
I am talking, Kelly.
Jesus,
Please
Mary,
don't-
and Joseph.
I have the floor, be respectful, I'm talking, thank
Mary
you.
Ellen,
No.
continue.
You-
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Continue.
Usually my train of thought, so I'm gonna let everybody else. I just thought maybe if it was like at night when they close it, maybe you can put them over there after they're removed or whatever.
We could put them inside the actual sidewalk, or,
Inside,
yeah. Yeah.
Good thought.
No, now we could do, it was just during the summer, it was basically impossible, because, like I said, we don't wanna have those things there. It's not a good look for Timurin.
Yeah.
But hopefully now we're gonna have more space, and that's gonna be solved.
So you're taking over that next door?
It's the Jewish bookstore,
Uh-huh.
they closed down, yeah.
Oh, so you've been taking on and expanding?
Yeah,
Oh, very nice.
yeah. We need the space because.
Yeah, you're very busy,
things like-
yes.
Because of things like that too, for storage, we don't have a basement.
Very good. All right, very good, thank you.
Okay. So we need to move, Kelly.
Thank you. In your schematic that's included in your application, as well as some of your pictures, it appears that you're encroaching upon the adjacent properties on both sides, in addition to encroaching upon the additional public space, that pedestrians need to move forward and cars need in order to exit their vehicles. What are your plans? I know you just addressed the garbage cans, but what are your plans for reformatting or reconfiguring your space so that you're not encroaching upon the adjacent property?
We have to move the planters in our space back into where it's, we're supposed to leave a certain amount for people to walk by. So that's the plan, to just put the planters back where they belong.
Other questions, comments? Great. So I think we can
Move to vote?
vote the application. Second, anyone?
Without the, you're moving the application without conditions, that's what I'm, what are we, what's the
I don't
resolution?
have conditions. Does anyone have any conditions? They're gonna get a new space and store the new stuff there.
But they don't have the new space, so we have to review the application based on the current, what we have. We can't do it based on the assumption that they're going to get the new space.
Hopefully, we should be getting it by tomorrow.
But they also need to have this done by the 30th, has to be in, there's a deadline on getting it
So,
proposed.
what is your last name, sir?
Gonzalez.
Mr. Gonzalez, what are your plans for storing the garbage cans? Let's start there. For removing the garbage cans as you have them presented in here.
Well, we could put them inside our sidewalk, 'cause it's not being used right now. So they won't be on that sidewalk. They will be in our, with a little, on our sidewalk, with a little. Inside the sidewalk of where the tables are, we could move the tables away and put those garbage cans in there for now.
Okay.
And they won't be in the way of anybody.
Okay, thank you. And then there's also a picture that shows part of the, entryway is being blocked
The entryway to,
to your restaurant. Maybe I'm looking at it at a different angle, but it, from how I
Which
view the
photo?
picture,
Which photo, Kelly?
it may be the angle of the photo. It could be the angle. It could be the angle of the
Right here,
photo.
block right here. It's open right here.
yeah, we have an open, we have
Opening right
it.
here.
Okay. All right.
There's a free opening, so not both, because typically indoors you have one side in, one side out, right?
Correct.
We have one entrance to our business.
Okay,
It's a,
so it's not a double door?
no.
Maybe that's, okay. It's just the other side that I'm saying is just a pane of glass. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's, windows, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can we
Move to vote.
move to vote?
With what? With what conditions?
I don't have any conditions.
What is your recommendation?
Well, the recommendation is that, the area for the restaurant be approved, and that anything outside of that space, including planters, garbage cans, and excess tables, be removed from the public sidewalk. That's the public sidewalk, as opposed to the sidewalk that you're getting permission to
Right.
use. Those are the three conditions.
Yeah, the tables are removed, they're not there no more.
But that would go in our resolution, that we're approving the space for your restaurant.
Right.
Any use of the sidewalk outside of that space, whether it be for garbage cans, the planters, the tree planters,
Yeah, the planters need to move a little, we move,
so
yeah, that we're gonna do, yeah.
and the garbage
Yeah,
cans,
the garbage
the
cans are gonna
planters,
be
and
inside.
the, okay,
Yeah.
it's set, so, that's it.
Okay. Did we vote on that?
I'll make a motion
Sylvia
to vote
or
on that
Wayne
with the
have a
conditions.
question?
Okay, we'd like to vote with the conditions. Any seconds?
Does Sylvia
Sylvia or Wayne have a question?
Let's see.
No, I mean, I've been there, and I think you addressed some of those same concerns. I think that you have one door. From what I've seen, there's a main path of ingress and egress that's not obstructed, and I understand that. I know certainly during COVID, you were able to use the other frontages of businesses that weren't open in the evening, and then obviously during the day they came back. I have no questions. Everything seems to make sense to me.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. Okay, so can we vote on this with the conditions?
Yes, I make a motion and vote with the
Thank you,
conditions.
Marion. Vote and approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sylvia, you approve, right?
No, actually, I don't.
Oh, okay. See?
Okay, so there's one vote against.
I walked down that side of the Riverdale Avenue many times, and it's very hard when you people going north and I'm going south. somebody has to either stop by the planters or the garbage cans, or they have to go into the street in order to be able to pass there. The tables are too far out. I know that you're trying to do a business, and I don't want to stop you from doing that. So I will not vote no, I'll just abstain.
Abstain, okay.
Thank you. Okay.
So it passes.
Passes. Great.
We'll get that fixed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
folks. Have a good night.
It has to come to the community board. Explain, this is not the final vote. Explain to the,
There's another, we have to present this
you should know that.
to the full board later on.
Yeah.
But you don't have to appear at that.
Only appearance.
Okay.
The old business, if we could,
I wanna bring up, it might fall under old business. It might fall under old business because it's been brought up at other meetings before, like last year, the year before. If you go down Independence Avenue from 232nd Street, going south, it's like the second house in on the left-hand side. A woman has brought up that there's bushes all the way going down. They're so far out, and there's a fence behind it on the property line, that the traffic that comes, and a lot of people walk down that street, to either go to school or walk down, that they're gonna get hit by a car because it's so blocked that they can't see the pedestrian coming either way.
call 311.
I can call it into 311.
Yeah.
I remember somebody bringing it up at the
Yeah,
board meeting.
if you
and
could,
pushing it.
yeah.
All right, very good, thank you.
You had old business.
Yeah, I'm here for two reasons.
You have to state your name for the
My
record.
name is Joe Ben Meir.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe Ben Meir. I'm here for two reasons. One, I noticed for some time two strange signs on the way on the corner of Riverdale Avenue and Irwin Street. One of them is for some carpet business, meaning on telephone pole. Doesn't belong there.
You're right.
I sent a picture. Did somebody get it? Did you get it?
Yes, we sent it to, DOT to, address.
Yeah, this is one thing. The second thing is.
carpet cleaning?
On the telephone pole sign removed.
Sanitation, not
I don't know, it
DOT.
is, who put it there? It is very
It's been
strange.
addressed already.
And you called
That was
311?
a constituent service thing, we did that, that's not.
Okay.
Committee is next item.
Also, on the same pole, there is a sign, no turn. It is very strange because people do make turns there, and Earring Street is one-way street. So when you make a turn, it doesn't make a difference if it is turning to 231st Street or to Earring. So they're one way. Why did they put this sign there? Who put the sign?
So you want the sign enforced?
Removed.
The sign should be removed. Doesn't make any sense.
Did you do a 311 complaint on this one?
No, I don't wanna put, should bring it here.
No, we always ask for
It is
311.
not,
I don't know this sign. A sign of no turn.
If you're going west on 230, actually, if you're coming down the hill, on Riverdale Avenue, and you're in the left lane to make a left onto 231, what he's indicating is that people are not making the left onto 231. What they're actually doing is making a left and turning into Irwin from that direction.
A hairpin turn, a hairpin.
They're crossing a double yellow line, and that's illegal.
Actually, it's not a double yellow
Oh,
line.
there's no line.
It's almost like a painted island is what they're crossing.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
yeah. It doesn't belong there. I see private cars driving there, making this turn, because it is on the way to their police station. So, is it official sign, or who put it there?
Yes,
It's a Department of Transportation sign.
yes.
We always ask if you do put a 311 complaint in, it's in the system, and we follow up with DOT on that.
You cannot do it from your end because you
No,
cannot.
we don't make the complaint, you would have to make the complaint. And I
Is it a
can,
complaint or it is,
it's a request to remove, so we could follow up with DOT on it, it's the best way to do it.
okay,
Or something like this.
I can do that also. I did the same thing with the concrete. It was falling off, I think so. Thank you
Okay.
for following it up.
Yeah,
The other thing is, the street signs that are obsolete on dead end.
We've addressed that 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
okay? We've also sent the response to you indicating that DOT reviewed your request. They denied the request. They said that the signs that are there are adequate, and that they would, if you viewed it was a problem, that after 18 months, you can petition DOT again, but until then, there is nothing that we can do about it.
They won't readdress
They won't
or
readdress
do
it
a new
until
study.
18 months have passed.
It is ridiculous. The signs are obsolete. People, park their day in and day out
We
in violation.
understand what you're saying,
Right.
however, DOT has indicated to us that the signs are adequate as they are. DOT and DSNY have reviewed it, and they've determined that the signs are correct.
But there are 2 places, talking about one next to.
The one next to the mall, is on Verveelen, and the one next to the Mavis Discount Tires. Those are the 2 streets that you're speaking of.
Yeah, I know, but it didn't make any sense, you know, what they said.
Sir, a lot of things don't make sense to me, okay? But I'm giving you the answer, and we have to follow the process.
Yeah, we can do that, but I'm saying, it really.
Okay, we can't do anything about it at this time.
This has been like so many years in a row.
Right.
You have to wait 18 months.
They can't
keep
doing
a
study.
I think because they're coming here, it's been like 3 years in a row, and it's been taken care of, it's been answered.
So you have 16
And it was
months.
last year too, last year, the year before.
I think it's gonna be going like this for another 50 years, not 18 years.
Right, but the survey's been put in and it's been.
Does NYPD have any say in it? Well.
DOT is within the scope of DOT and the Department of Sanitation, and both agencies have reviewed it. And that's the only answer we're authorized to give you. Okay?
But on the other 2 items, we're taking care of it through the office, but send us the 311 complaint number on that
Yeah,
one.
okay, we'll do that.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank
you
you.
so much, take care.
The last is the budget request for Step Streets. So that was in the new budget. For 2026, any comments? Sylvia, Wayne?
I'm sorry, what are we talking about?
Item 6, fiscal year 2026 budget request.
Yeah.
Step Streets are in the fiscal year 2026 budget,
Okay,
right?
it was approved.
Well, the
That was
one
the budget
that we
was
already
recently
submitted.
approved, right?
Yeah.
Great.
It's just the few that were submitted from last year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Old business. The new business is I'd like to write a resolution where we consider reducing pollution, mitigating traffic. All right, thank you, Rosemary. All those in favor of adjourning? Or Joe, you have another question?
Yeah, I just noticed this sign. There is something very strange. I got a couple of times a very strange parking ticket. The ticket was completely blank. Blank. And I had to pay, it doesn't make any sense.
Did you consider contesting it?
I did, and no, they are collecting money for the city. They are not interested in anything else. If it is on things, 99.9% of the summonses, if they make sense, they don't make any sense, things. It is really like becoming like Russia or Nicaragua, Egypt.
Did you contest it?
What?
Did you contest it?
Yes, I did. And it went to the appeals board and they say, you should have gone. The answer was, they told me in writing.
Wait, did you have a trial? You're entitled to a trial. Did you have a trial?
What?
Did you have a trial with a judge?
A court hearing.
No, I know, you don't go to court.
You're entitled to one.
The court is $300, $500. It's more than.
It's free. You show up in front of a judge and dispute it.
Who has time for this?
Okay, that's your remedy. That's your remedy.
I can go to court for free?
You can go in front of a judge and say, look at the ticket.
Yourself.
You plead not
You ask for
guilty.
adjudication, you ask for a hearing.
Yeah, you go in front of a traffic judge, and they'll say, look, there's nothing on the ticket, you're innocent. You're innocent until proven guilty. They have to prove that you're guilty of something.
No, they told me they should have gone to a nearest office to say, this is like in Czechoslovakia or in Nicaragua, I don't know. The government has complained, here is a piece of paper, go to the government and find out.
Go in front of a judge.
They have a website, and on the website, you can dispute your tickets.
I did,
And on the website, you can also request to have a hearing.
I did.
And once you request to have a hearing, they will send you a notification about a hearing date, and then you
I
can
already
state
did
your
that,
case.
I already did that.
Right.
And they said, no, we should have
Okay, so
gone,
they denied your case.
and it doesn't make any sense.
That's for you to adjudicate with, then you have to appeal it. I'm sure they gave you the process for appealing also.
You know, the next step is go to court.
Oh, the next court. You missed the first court. You have to go
You have to appeal.
appeal that decision.
Right.
I already did the appeal. Appeal to the NYPD administrative.
We can't get rid of it.
That is not
We
the
can't-
purpose of the community.
You have to take that up that far.
I know, but I'm saying it is very strange.
All
The
right,
people
but
there in the Department of Finance, they're interested in collecting money.
we have,
Want
Okay.
something-
we have to adjourn.
We have to adjourn the meeting. Before we
meeting.
adjourn the meeting, I'll make a motion for us to go into executive session.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, take care of it.
Thank
I'm
you
gonna
so
send it
much.
to you online.
Yeah, send it to us.
Right.
Thank you.
Kathy Kelly moved to go to executive session.
Yes.
Okay. Is that second, is there a second?
So I can't, everyone who is not on the committee, needs to, oh, I can put them in the, I will put you in the waiting room. Okay, and that's it. What's that? Do I have to leave
Yeah.
too?
Yep.
Yeah? No? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can take your melted ice cream with you.
That's not mine.
No, but I know it's gonna
Melty. And then I do have one thing to say before you finish. Just-
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, I have to play it for you. Okay. Hold on.
Say something before we adjourn.
No, just a quick thought to Step Streets.
Yes.
Overall, we have 26 Step Streets. I would like to, I mean, we could do it in the office, but would love the committee to consider. What is Step Streets? Step Streets are those streets that connect the two streets that you walk down instead of having to go all the way around.
Where?
You know, like on.
Everywhere, so,
Cannon Place is
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Cannon Place, 238.
From Waldo down to the train
Yeah.
station.
With snow on, it's
So
wonderful.
they're all in different states of, you know, of being in good shape, bad shape. I know a few years ago, the committee did a project where everyone kind of checked them out, took pictures. So we can do some of them, but maybe we can coordinate, you know, to check them all out and.
massive multi-million-dollar project.
Well, the only one that is a capital project is the Summit Place Street, Step Street. That's it. So even if we just know the conditions they're in, and we could follow up with sanitation and DOT.
thing is,
Many stones, it could be one stone here, one stone there, and one
Yeah,
handrail.
some just need repairs, some need, yeah.
go ahead.
What I did, at some, even?
Exactly.
What I did at some point.
I fell with one of those. Yeah, I fell from this one.
And that broke my wrist.
Okay.
What I did at some point was we broke it up. We divvied the work up. And we went to various step streets. We basically did it by, who lived in a particular geographic area. They were assigned that step street, or they agreed to review that step street, and we walked up and down the steps to see what the problems were, and we took pictures and we submitted them. And that was.
Someone has these reports somewhere.
They should have them.
We don't have pictures, I have little reports.
Pictures of.
But I would like, yes, us to readdress it and do it
When we
as
brought
a
it-
report, as a
Right.
book, right, with
Right.
pictures.
Right, they were presented to there were pictures.
You want a site assessment of the existing conditions.
Well, yes, basically, we started with the step streets that people traverse on a daily basis, right? So, you know, just because of your habits, you knew what streets needed attention, what step streets needed attention. And so we used those as the step streets that we initially.
Is there a department that does this? In the DOT?
It's DOT.
DOT.
But
In the DOT.
sanitation does the
Yeah.
size of it, the
Right.
cleaning of it. And it's like usually hand in hand with it.
Wayne has a question. Wayne?
I can say for a fact that, you know, going to the fact that I can certainly take pictures this week, but the one on near Waldo at 238th, which I do weekly, you know, that's one where that's concerning. And I think the one at approaching 231st Street is dangerous. I mean, very uneven steps and
Wayne, could you take a picture and submit it?
I will, yeah, I'll try to work on doing that sometime this week.
No, it's worse.
Off Irwin,
Pardon?
further south.
Which, you said off for 231st Street, which?
The one
step street are you
approaching, yeah, I'm thinking coming off of, I think it's Riverdale, heading down towards, I think it's a step street between Riverdale and Irving, that one.
Irwin, okay.
Yeah.
I could also make a suggestion, I have a list of all the step streets I could send to the committee, and if people could just maybe respond where they can do it, we'll have a list of that, and whatever you can't do, our staff can do, will do.
That sounds wonderful. I know that I'll probably be able to do a couple of those as early as this weekend, because I'll probably be moving around and do some stuff.
And when would you need this information, Shannon?
It's just, I wanted it for your committee, and something I think is good for you if you want to put it on your budget for next year also.
So I'm gonna ask the question.
No, I'm thinking out loud. What do you think?
You gave us a list in.
Good, because before it snows, it would be good to have pictures.
Yeah.
So should we say like a month from now, like we have 4 weeks to do this? What's today, the 21st? By December 20th or something?
Say by the January TNT meeting.
Okay, that's good.
The January TNT meeting, that's like 8 weeks.
Wayne, you would volunteer to submit some photos?
I mean, I can't attack them all, but I'll know that I can certainly work on doing. I'll integrate it into my walk.
With pictures.
Yeah, with
Thanks,
pictures,
Debbie.
sure.
We have a list?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna send you all the.
You submitted it last spring, I saw.
Yeah, but I'll resend, it's just a list of our step streets in the
It's
district.
actually something that we should probably do annually, because the step streets do deteriorate. Because what they will also do, right, and we heard this during their discussion, DDC's discussion today, right? They do patchwork in certain instances, so they don't repair the entire thing. So what was fixed in one section could now be broken in another section.
Yeah.
You know, so it's something that we should probably do on a routine basis.
Yeah. Because Cannon and 238, that's a problem.
Like I said, I will send tomorrow the list to everybody, and then everyone can just state where they can
The
go.
picture of the sign though, for the street, how do you?
At the top and at the bottom.
Top and bottom.
At the intersection, that's what I would
Top
do.
and the
That's
bottom?
what yeah, you can say, this is, for example, a few years ago, I did Gale Place, right? So it's the step street that led from Gale Place down to the, Major Deegan, entrance to the Major Deegan there. So you just use the descriptors there.
Yeah. There's one on Edsel Avenue that we've gone with DOT to a lot this year, it needs a lot of work.
Edsel, that's the one,
To the train station.
yeah, that was old.
Yeah.
I used to run up and down those back in the day, it was a disaster.
And then there's other issues too, is the lighting on some of these.
Yeah, you
are
can't
not-
see.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's dark at night.
Yeah.
I can't promise I would be able to check them.
Right,
But.
I'm not saying you're at night, but.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. All approved? Great. Adjourn.